Hello everyone, I'm Forceman Freelava, and this is Speedplay Horselords number 5. We left off with the death of the old Coggin, the loss of control over the Cogginate, and we are now a very small child in charge of a very large subsection of the realm, with massive armies that we have to reunify as for whatever reason they're split into their individual components. We aren't able to immediately seize back control over the state. However, we do still have massive armies, so we go ahead and just invade Dwin again, as quite frankly there's no reason not to put our armies to use, and taking essentially free lands is always welcome. Unfortunately, we are unable to pillage any of our holdings while we are not in complete control over the state, so we won't actually be doing any of that. There is a revolt against the current Coggin. I'm not going to interfere in that in any way, as honestly it's not my fight. The Byzantines are attacking. I would really love to just ignore that, however they are taking over the lands we just took, and I can't just let that stand. So we do go ahead and battle the Byzantines, just completely wrecking their armies and unsieging the provinces that they've taken. There are, as normal, a slew of revolts. However, they're pretty easily taken care of. We continue to march into the Orthodox lands, declaring a quick war to move in and just seize what we're able to. Unfortunately, since we do have a Regency Council, our Regent isn't allowing us to break truces to keep declaring wars. So all of our northern neighbors were more or less going to have to leave alone after taking off small bits and pieces. Now, the Byzantines were not even going to bother attacking, although we did just destroy their armies, as quite frankly that'll probably be very, very costly for single duchies. Instead, we're going to send an army over into North Africa in an attempt that we can maybe unite the Cogginites' lands just over North Africa instead of having these few remaining states just blocking the way. Now, with that all basically said and done, we really just have to wait until we become an adult. So that way we'll be able to create our own faction in order to overthrow the Khan. Then go ahead, attempt to overthrow the Khan, and almost certainly succeed. We have a vast army. We have the central location. We are now an adult. We start the faction. Unfortunately, we aren't powerful enough to overthrow the Khan right this moment, so we're going to have to just sit back, increase our power, and deal with some dynastic things. A very important thing is that we're going to focus seduction. We're going to get as many future heirlings as possible, because I don't want to have to become a child again. Unfortunately, the Khan sends a diplomat that forces us out of our faction, so we are now essentially forced to be just another loyal vassal. We are unable to form another faction against the Khan. It's rather unfortunate. That does trap us. We do create a plot to kill the Khan. Luckily, our Regency Council being over means that we are allowed to just break these truces and continue to just dominate all of our neighbors. Meanwhile, the Civil War is still going fairly strong, and we are still going to just ignore it. We continue to move forward into the Orthodox lands, and at this point we are just assaulting the sieges, as realistically we have massive amounts of manpower, and the sieges are pretty quick. You do it once, the garrison doesn't restore, and you declare another war breaking the truce. It ultimately is working out incredibly well for us. Meanwhile, our plot power is still not quite high enough, so we are trying to get more people into it. I attempt to have war games. Almost everybody rejects joining, which is a bit annoying. We do end up just declaring war on Dwin again. And ideally, we'll just take as much land as is physically possible. Luckily, Trucebreaker doesn't stack, so once you're in it for an inch, you're in it for a mile, and you may as well just keep pressing your advantage. We do manage to get a son. He's a bastard, but we legitimize him. And interestingly, the Khan has decided to settle, and that makes us the new Coggin. So just like that, we're back in control over the state. It is a bit fractured. However, that's still pretty great news. Admittedly, it's spread over an awkward number of duchies and things along those lines, so it may be a bit of a hassle to take that area back. We also have a minor clan rising with about 55,000 troops, which reminds me to go ahead and start basically just delegating all of these provinces to the various clans to prevent that sort of thing from happening again. Now, one thing that I have a slight problem with is you can't give away pasture land by the duchy or by the kingdom. It has to be individual provinces, which can get exceptionally tedious. We also just surrender to that minor clan rising, as quite frankly, I don't want to go kill 55,000 nomadic horse archers and other lots, as that would just be horribly, attritional, and almost certainly a Pyrrhic victory. So we just let them become a sub-clan. With that all said and done, we just have to deal with a few revolts, try to get all of our clans back into friendly relations with us by giving away all of the duchies and kingdom titles in the lands they control. We deal with a slew of rebellions and declare war on the Byzantines. Now we're declaring an invasion of them, so we should be able to take over all of their lands, much like we did with the Abbasids. This is just miles better than going after them duchy by duchy. We did have the option to do this against the Arabian Empire, which the former Khagan settled. However, we only get... Well, actually, I don't believe it was an invasion. It was the once-in-a-lifetime invasion Casus Belli. So we chose the Byzantines over the Arabian Empire, and we're fighting a few very pitched battles. Ultimately, the Byzantines are just more land, wealthier land, and it lets us become the inheritors of Rome. So, all told, a lot of very nice positives. We win a massive battle against the infantry mainly force of the Byzantines, and with their armies destroyed, we are now in control over the region. We begin dismantling their entire civilization from the top down. The former Basilius, or Vasilev, declares a revolt as we try to imprison him. However, we've already destroyed his armies when he controlled the entire empire, so I don't really fear his slight rebellion. We continue to dismantle the aristocracy, and once we take direct control over the provinces, we will begin to pillage all that remains of Byzantine society, turning it all into pasture lands throughout all of Anatolia. That's the plan, and other than a massive slew of revolts, which is almost certainly going to come, I can't imagine there will be too much difficulty in that. Now, we did use our once-in-a-lifetime Casus Belli in order to take over the Byzantines instead of the Arabian Empire, so we'll either have to just take them over piecemeal, get our population up to 90%, so that we may use the invasion Casus Belli, which I at first inappropriately described my Byzantine invasion as, or go through duchy by duchy. So we can go through duchy by duchy, wait till we die and use the invasion again, or get our population to 90%. None of those is really a short-term or rather easy solution to take over the Arabian Empire, and more or less right now we just have a lot of pillaging to do. With that all said and done, we have wrecked the economies of all of Anatolia. We can start moving back into Persia and wrecking all of that, and ultimately turn all the world into pasture land. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll be right back on Monday.